Alright, how's it going everyone? We're going to take a little look at Synapse. This is absolutely not financial advice. I do not own any Synapse and I never have. I'm not telling you to buy any Synapse. So Synapse is a cross-chain messaging system. It's going to soon be its own optimistic roll-up chain. The messaging allows for tokens, contracts, governance to be deployed across any blockchain and all blockchains at the same time. So it was first deployed simply just to move assets across blockchains. It's since cumulatively done over 11 billion in volume. The ability to send any arbitrary data across chain means that dApps can execute on any chain without being needed to redeploy to that destination chain. So you can have mainnet apps that are being executed on Avalanche or Polygon, wherever, without having to actually deploy the dApp there. Bridger tokens can be moved from A to B, but they can also be swapped, lent, and borrowed at the same time. So the smart contracts and everything else actually deploy with it. Synapse swaps the algorithmic pool, prices transactions, and incentivizes pool rebalancing through bridging and swaps. So you can have assets from Avalanche and Polygon all move over to mainnet to facilitate whatever swap needs to be done if that's the most optimal route. Fluid liquidity allows these pools to be integrated across any chain. So yeah, basically says the same thing. You can move assets from A to B without having to actually consciously do that. It's the Synapse, the transactions are doing that automatically. So this is my little rendition of how this should work. So they've got these things called Nexus tokens or N tokens that they use. The transfer is initiated, whatever token you're swapping is swapped for an N token, moved to the destination chain, and then swapped back for that asset. So this is how swapping Metis ETH for Avalanche ETH would work, essentially. You get the ETH on Metis swapped for N ETH, move to Avalanche, and then swap back to the native ETH there. So you can provide liquidity for on these different pools. You can see on different L2s, L1s and sort of thing. And they're doing pretty good APYs at the moment, obviously, for a stable pool. On Metis, cranking out nearly 17%. That's pretty wild. And there's quite a few options. So getting just 16% on your ETH as well, 21% on your ETH, that's pretty crazy. So this Synapse chain that it's moving to, at the moment it's just a dApp. Synapse is moving to its own roll-up, aiming to give developers one place where they can develop their dApps and then they're deployed natively to all blockchains. It's a proof of stake chain, so there's going to be bonding and delegated staking for the optimistic rollup thing's pretty complex. I'm not going to pretend that I understand the whole thing, but essentially you can stake tokens, lock them up, get a yield. So being a bridge, there is a lot of hacks that have gone around recently. Hundreds of millions, billions, or whatever it is, dollars have gone. I don't think that's really applies to things like the Nomad hack. That was completely on the devs there when they're sort of the shoddy updates they were doing. So I'm not actually sure. I'm not a programmer. I don't know understand how to hack things, but I don't see any evidence to suggest it should be hacked. Ecosystem. So there's one token that I've seen that has the intention of deploying straight away onto Synapse chain. SynSwap. I'll have to link to their Twitter that I've seen. They don't actually have a product yet, as far as I've seen. I'm not actually sure why it needs a SynSwap, because it already does swaps. So we'll have to see how that unfolds. It is quite a low market cap at the moment. I actually don't. I'll have a look at it in a second how it's actually priced right now. But the roll up and the cross chain thing is actually a massive narrative at the moment. The L2 narrative is taking off big time. You've got the Arbitrum obviously exploding. So it's all happening. It's definitely hitting those two narratives, which should be good for it. So we do have, it is sitting at under 300 million market, just a bit under 300 million market cap at the moment. So the chart, it has been bouncing off this trend line, obviously, and then got rejected pretty hard off it. So I'm not even sure where I'm looking exactly for an entry. Most likely, well, yes, under this. If it gets under here, that's when I'll seriously start considering a position on it. It's still up 60% from the lows, so it's not really a discount at the moment. I don't think there's really much else to say about it, but yeah, otherwise I'm watching that range because I think it is hitting all the narratives, and it is delivering. As I was saying, it's moved 11 billion in volume, so it is cranking out yield and everything, so it's definitely a good narrative. Yeah, that's about all there is to say about it.